Hello. Can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you all so much for coming out on a rainy night, and I feel so lucky to be reading with old friends and new friends, and thank you to Peg for inviting me. And I'm going to read to you tonight from my memoir, Community Chest. I want to just take a minute to dedicate my reading to my friend and big sister in the breast cancer experience, Kathy Fisher, who helped me so much when I was going through my treatment. So, for Kathy. All right, I'm going to move this because I'm short. All right. The Wrong O. Shortly after my first book was published, I began playing a game with myself. Every time my cell phone lit up and listed private caller, I paused, took a deep breath, and imagined my literary fairy godmother, Oprah, calling to tell me how much she loved my book, how she laughed and was moved by my sentences, and that reading my book made her feel less alone. Usually, it was a political campaign calling to request more money, but now the game is over. Every time my phone rings and the screen lists private caller, I take a deep breath because more than likely it will be my oncologist. I've gone from one O to another. From the O writers love to hear from, to the O nobody wants to hear from. Crap. There's really no other way to say it except to say, I've been diagnosed with breast cancer. It sucks completely. The cancer seems like an accident. I was seeing my doctor for minor issues, and while I was there, I asked for a breast exam. I believe that if you're ever arm's length away from a pair of trained hands, get a breast exam. Of course, I knew there was nothing wrong, except my doctor lingered too long on the left side. She checked my chart and decided to send me to the breast surgeon. I was okay with that. I was ready for that clean bill of health. At the surgeon's office, soothing prints decorated the walls, a bicycle leaning against a fence, a field of lavender, stone bridges crisscrossing a meandering river, all suggestive of a serene European vacation. Coffee and tea were provided along with baskets of cremora, red stir sticks, and little pink ribbons. A half-round aquarium was tucked in a corner. Its cold surface bulging into the room reminded me of a giant breast. The glass was magnified and the plastic kelp looked mossy and prehistoric. One black fish glided in a terrible orbit, growing small and large, horrifying. I named him Tumor. I could do that because I, of course, didn't have breast cancer. While I waited, I made a few notes in my journal. I thought of all the details that might someday be useful, for a story I would write about someone else. The music was Christian rock. Lyrics included, "What are you going to do when your time has come?" And "Your glory fills the sky." Good thing I don't have cancer, I thought, or this could be really upsetting. I decided I would only say something about the music to the surgeon if she was not wearing a cross. When she apologized about my lengthy wait, I told her it was fine but for the music, and she expressed surprise when I described the playlist, then added, "Usually I'm telling someone they have cancer and Madonna is singing like a virgin." She examined my breast and recommended an ultrasound and mammogram. Sure, it had only been 10 months since my last mammo, but let's err on the safe side, the surgeon said, and I was still okay with everything. I felt positive that it would amount to nothing rather than everything. When I checked into the breast center, instead of the tiny stall I normally got for disrobing from the waist up, they put me in the Four Seasons of dressing rooms with a phone and a lamp and a box of tissues. Shit. Now I was scared. Now I wished I had brought my husband. I took a few pictures with my iPhone thinking I would post them to Facebook and say something about fear and how lucky I was to be cancer-free and send big love to those who may receive a different diagnosis than the one I was going to get. The rest of the appointment was an unoriginal, terrifying blur. Mammogram, ultrasound. I remember when I was pregnant and ultrasounds were thrilling. I remember staring at the blurry, curled-up beam with the fluttering center, the way the room filled with the swish, swish of the baby's heart. As soon as my technician started clicking, I knew it was bad. That click was the sound of measuring. Once the measuring marked the growth of my babies, now it marked the size of my torment. It marked my future. When I began to cry, the tech brought in the doctor who gently placed her pale hand on my thigh. She told me I would be okay, and I told her that depended on her version of okay. After the biopsy puncture, I was sent back in for a second mammogram. I was sobbing, and the technician said to me, "You'll be okay, a little surgery, a little chemo, a little radiation, you'll be good as new." I wanted to say, "Fuck you, whoever heard of lil chemo?" Instead, I asked her to please be quiet, please. The mammogram tech was the first in a long line of people to say weird things. I signed up for guitar, French, golf, dressage, knitting, and I have you to thank. If my diagnosis serves as your carpe diem kick in the ass, well, can you please keep it to yourself? So sorry to hear about this. I lost a friend to cancer last year. I am so sorry for your loss, and you just ratcheted up my fear 10,000-fold. Tell me about your surgery. And then when I do, they cover their mouth in horror. I know the surgery sounds horrible, but if you don't have the stomach for it, please don't ask. I'm already horrified on my own. People mean well, they do, but no one knows exactly what to say. A cancer diagnosis will always be scary. My diagnosis brought people closer to their own mortality, but I refuse to be responsible for making someone else feel comfortable about the cancer. I wasn't going to lay my coat down so other people could step over the puddle and keep their shoes dry. During this early post-diagnosis time, I was on the plane, waiting to use the bathroom. A man came out, and I looked into that tiny space. The toilet seat was up. I paused. Sure, I could go in and use a piece of toilet paper to lower his seat, but I thought, no, I have cancer, and I am not responsible for your bad manners. I followed this guy up the aisle, and I asked him to go back and lower the toilet seat. I might have gone a little crazy, but he did it, and he apologized. People also say lovely things. I love you. You will be okay. We caught it early. May I hug you? I'm lucky. The cancer was small. I didn't feel lucky. I felt scared. I wanted to send the same big love to myself that I imagined sending to the other women who had or were or would be inhabiting that Four Seasons dressing room. Women who must endure the puncture and the wait and the bad phone call. I felt their fear. I felt their sorrow. I wanted to feel their strength because surely they were stronger than me. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. The Situation Room. 4 days post-surgery, I feel remarkably wellish. Nights are difficult, but days are slowly improving. My biggest complaint is my muddled brain. A paragraph, no matter how many times I read it, makes little sense. Words elude me. I'm swamped with dismay, anger, sorrow, frustration, apprehension, and amazement all at once. I know it's arrogant to feel dismay about my diagnosis when statistics say 1 in 8 women will be stricken with breast cancer. What makes me think I could sneak by unscathed? I guess that's how we all get through our days. I want to make some sense of all of this mess on the page where I go to make sense of most things in my life, but my brain is too swimmy, even my vision is less sharp. I can't believe people take pain medications for fun. I am flotsam on my own couch, awash in pillows and blankets, magazines and remote controls and CNN. I am in the Situation Room with Anderson Cooper and Superstorm Sandy. It is uncanny how much the blurry radar storm image looks like the ultrasound of my breast and the cancer, the whorl and the eye right there in the lower right portion of the screen. I am stuck. My mind a cable news channel rehashing the same facts. Lucky it was found. Margins, wind speed, staging, exploding some substations, people without power, Water level, bilateral mastectomy, sentinel nodes, dusky nipples, proliferation rate, flooded subways, treatment plan. No one knows the level of damage. The Oregon Symphony called our home in the hopes I would purchase season tickets. When I told the woman on the phone it wasn't a good time, she asked when would it be a good time, and I didn't know the answer. In the Situation Room, you have to live with negative capability. In art and literature, I love it. In real life, it sucks. Not knowing is part of superstorms and cancer, so you let people take care of you and love you. My surgeon read my book before my surgery. She invited me to her book group. She told me I was singing Leaving on a Jet Plane in the operating room, but I don't believe her. My recovery nurse, Jessica, had brown hair and a sweet voice. She asked me to rate my pain from 1 to 10. She friended me on Facebook when she got home. I am so lucky. My husband washed my hair. Neighbors put up signs across the street from my house, big love, and with a nod toward the title of my stories collection, we shout your lovely name. Today, I went for a walk. The leaves are beautiful. My dog barked at his nemesis, Pepe, the Chihuahua from down the street. He is thrilled to bark, to nearly howl. He loves to hate Pepe. It is almost a normal day. Thank you.